Welcome to another edition of Two Sites Unite. I am George Phillips with oilpressure.com, and you are?
I am Paul Dalby with fieldof33.com.
Good job. Okay. So, Paul, first things first, spectacular run by Scott Dixon on Sunday.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think most of us had ever wondered if we would ever get back to track record speeds, and we didn't quite get there, but we were close as we've been in 25 years, 26 years. I actually thought we'd end up being a little close. Let me rephrase that. Going into the week, I didn't think we were necessarily going to be that close. I thought we would probably be where we've been lately, 232, 233 maybe.
I was really expecting 231.
Yeah, and even when it came to Thursday, the last day before they turned up the boost, I didn't see these types of speeds coming. And then really it wasn't until, you and I were at Charlie Brown's having breakfast on Saturday morning when that first practice session started. And right away
Can you silence that phone, please?
Well, I would, but I don't know. Hold on.
So annoying.
So, are we cutting that?
No.
Oh, all right. Yeah, we were at Charlie Brown's, and right away we had the timing and scoring up, and it popped up that Jimmy Johnson was at, 233.9 right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought then, hey, we may be getting somewhere today. And then we never did quite crack that 235, but I think it was Carpenter like 234.9 or somewhere right around there.
He was up there. Do you remember? I can't remember if it was Saturday morning or Friday when we were up there when we saw a tweet, and it was like from, I think, IndyCar on NBC.
Yes.
And it said, "Do you think we might break a track record today?" And we both just laughed at each other. No.
It's 0% chance.
Yeah, and then lo and behold, there's still, let's pump the brakes a little bit. It's still, almost 3 miles an hour short of the track record.
Yeah. What
track
was
record is 236.9 something, and
96.
and Dixon's record was what 234 point.
234.5. Yeah.
That one for the average. Was that for the average or his fastest lap?
I think that was the average. Well, hold on.
I've got this right here.
I can't
his average was 234.046.
Okay, so I had the half a mile an hour, right? It was just that Pillow was a half a mile an hour below 230.
Correct. Yes. So so we're still almost 3 miles an hour short of the track record. So, but and I saw people arguing about this on social media because there's such ingenious people that are in Indy 500 Facebook groups on social media. But somebody was saying that it is a pole speed record, which is true.
Okay, yes, it is, but
it is the fastest pole speed on record.
IndyCar and IMS, bless their hearts. They're trying to make this sound pretty cool. I think they're better off saying this is the second fastest run in history rather than this is the fastest pole speed in history. Nobody has ever made that distinction in 120 years about the fastest pole speed. No, you have a track record. Nobody ever says it's the fastest pole.
But it is true. Yes, they're grasping at straws. I don't have a problem with it.
Nobody ever before yesterday recognized Scott Brayton as being the fastest pole sitter in history. Yes, it's true.
Because he wasn't even the fastest car in the field.
Exactly.
but I think I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a nice little historical
My
footnote,
favorite
but I
post
wouldn't plaster it all over the place.
What?
I wouldn't plaster it all over everything. I mean, it's an interesting little footnote or asterisk, but
It is. I mean, I wouldn't, like I
it's
said,
not a track record.
no, it's not. And that's what people care about. I mean, Tom Carnegie, and I'm not going to do a Tom Carnegie imitation, but he never was famous for it's a new pole speed record.
Right.
Yeah. So, but still, it was an interesting day, which was a nice cap off to what was basically an odd weekend.
That's an understatement. Yeah. Yeah.
Fast Friday was not fast. I mean, yeah, they had the extra boost, but nobody turned laps hardly. I mean, I think less than or more than half the field turned less than 15 laps. I think that's the stat I've heard.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back and look at the stats from the last few years. I feel like Fast Fridays have been like that more times than not the last few years. They're leery about going out. It's hard to get a lap on your own, and there's no benefit to running a lap in traffic when you're setting yourself up for qualifying runs. So I feel like the last several years we've seen that where Fast Friday is, I hesitate to say slower than usual because that's certainly not the connotation I mean, but certainly less laps run than we used to see. And then the Saturday morning practice is even more deserted the last several years. There have been several years in the last 5 where you might have 2, 3, 4 cars go out, and that's about it.
But this was even more so due to the fact of the high winds and the heat. I mean, yeah, we've had high winds before and we've had heat before, but we had heat and high winds, which made for a gusty, slippery track, which was not favorable.
No. Yeah, it was. It just wasn't reflective. We knew that the conditions were going to change. They were still warm and muggy on Saturday, but the wind wasn't nearly as strong Saturday as it was on Sunday.
No, but then of course we were dodging raindrops.
There's that
a lot of the day too.
Yeah,
and that really, it may end up being interesting because there are a lot of good cars in the back of the field, and some. I don't know if there are any surprises towards the front of the field. Let's see. Well, I'm not sure that I would have picked David Malukas to out-qualify Joseph Newgarden.
That's the one I was going to point to. I think David Malukas starting inside row 5 is an interesting story. I mean, just barely missed out on the top 12. He's shown some surprising speed really all month. So maybe we shouldn't be surprised, but if I'm being straight honest, I think Malukas was one of my, 5 picks to say, you get 5 picks, who's going to make up row 11? And I think I probably would have put Malukas into that group probably 2 weeks ago.
And I'm not sure that many people picked the third car from Foyt, driven by J.R. Hildebrand, to out-qualify Alexander Rossi and Graham Rahal.
No, both of those teams are, out of, what do they have, 8 combined total between those two, and one of them got into the Fast 12, and Graham Rahal is starting outside of row 7, but that entire team has looked lost all month.
They have, but now, and I'll be honest, I don't know what happened to Jack Harvey's run. I didn't see it. I missed it. Why is he in the middle of the last row?
Because he went slow.
Well, I didn't know if there was a problem or what. I didn't realize that was the case until I saw the 13 through 33 locked in, and I looked at that and went, whoa.
I mean, Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan knows how to prepare a car at Indianapolis. They usually have fast cars, but they've got 2 out of the 3 positions in row 11. I don't think that is what their goal was for the month coming into it.
And I think my buddy John McClellan on One Take Only,
Good friend, John McClellan.
I think he picked Graham Rahal to win the race, because he used that logic that they know how to set up a car, because 2 years ago they were first and second with Sato and Rahal. Why are you looking at me like a dog looking at a typewriter?
Second.
Huh?
When did Rahal finish second?
In 2020?
Dixon was second, wasn't he?
Are you going to make me look this up in the middle of a video?
Fire up the Wikipedia machine there. He may have been third.
Oh, man.
Dixon was second. Either way, I'm sure we'll get to moves that backfired here shortly. But
Well,
I mean, Jack Harvey.
If you're gonna go down that road, you got to start with Scott McLaughlin.
Well, I mean, we don't have to quite yet. We're still on the Rahal thing. Jack Harvey. I mean, look what he jumped ship from Michael Shank, who, granted, they didn't set the world on fire with Elio starting 27th and Pagano 16th, but both of those are smaller numbers than 32, where he will be starting this race from.
Okay, you're correct.
Well, I know I'm correct.
Scott Dixon finished second and Graham Rahal finished third. So you caught me on one mistake.
Well, you know what? We like accuracy here.
Yeah, enjoy the one mistake. But anyway, that was John's logic, and in fact, I think I was going off of John's saying that, so I'm going to blame it on John. He's not here to defend himself.
Since you got the Wikipedia machine fired up there, where did Graham start last year? I don't recall him being a front 9 starter.
Why are you making me do this? These things are boring enough to everybody. Why do you make it even worse as people watch me scroll through my computer?
Maybe you can put one of those fast forward things on here and skip.
Okay, where did he start? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Last year?
Yes.
Graham started outside of row 6.
All right. Well, he's starting outside of row 7 this year. So.
Well, he had a fast car last year.
He had a really fast car last year.
Until they forgot to put his wheel on right.
That is an important job of his crew member is to get said tire.
And quite honestly, I'm not worried too much about Graham Rahal. I think he'll be fine. Harvey and I think Christian Lundgaard is about where people thought he would be, but it's bad that he outqualified Jack Harvey.
Yeah. You know what? I'm looking at the box or the starting lineup here. There are some very interesting rows. I don't know that we've seen a row like row 9 buried deep in the field for many years.
That's almost like the row 5 in 1991.
Yes, with Bettenhausen and Fittipaldi and Lyondike.
Yeah, and Bettenhausen being didn't Bettenhausen have the fastest car in the field?
He was the fastest qualifier that year. Yes. But yeah, row 9 this year, Colton Herta, Scott McLaughlin, Helio Castroneves. I think a lot of people, rightfully so, and I'm sure I probably would have been one of them, at least one of those would be a lock for the top 12.
Yeah. And don't forget that it was at Texas, because look who's starting directly in front of Helio. And it was at Texas that those two got together.
At a meeting of the minds?
Yes. So that's going to be interesting. Of course, in the Monday practice, he finally had a crash because we had a few brushes with the wall, but they were just that brushes. Everybody kept going. So we had gotten through qualifying without a single mishap. But then on Monday, Dalton Kellett, he spun and he hit the wall hard in turn one.
Yeah, we've seen harder hits, but I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it was one that, I mean, it lifted the car halfway off the ground.
Yeah, yeah. I think he found where the edge of the group was. It was really odd because usually when a car gets outside the groove into the gray like that, usually it pushes into the wall. And it was odd. His just snapped the rear end. It was really peculiar how that crash evolved, or how that crash happened. But with it Monday, and they'll have the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to get ready for carb day.
Yeah.
But they'll be all right.
I mean, it's not like this might prevent him from drinking the milk on Sunday.
Right.
I don't think anybody's under the delusion that Dalton Kellett is going to teach the field a lesson.
No. But it is a little bit surprising to me that his AJ Foyt teammate is next door, being Kyle Kirkwood. I thought he would be a little bit higher. I'm a little surprised if he's that far back. You alluded to J.R. Hildebrand a little earlier, starting middle of row 6. Foyt cars have shown well the last.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I think they got, like most cars, they got one run. They're probably hoping the weather will hold off, and they would. And I think nobody's really talking about this much. I think there are two boneheaded moves on Saturday's qualifying. One was Sato staying out on the track. That one's been pretty well beaten to death. But the one that nobody's talking about, I guess because he's royalty now, but Helio Castroneves, when he was on his run, he didn't brush the wall, but he had to. He was getting sideways, and he had to back out of it. And when he did, he just kind of seemed to go, screw it, it's done, we'll just go again.
Right.
And his team had to get on there and say, get back into it. So he got back into the throttle, but by then it's too late. And his last lap, which, I mean, that was on lap 4 when he did that, and that last lap was down to a 2:12.
Yeah, so you wonder, based on those first 3 laps, where he would slot in. I mean, that would be a very interesting, how much,
But why he just took the approach of, oh, well, this was done, we'll do another one, when everybody knew that rain was coming.
Right.
That was that was the move of a rookie, not a 21-year veteran with four rings.
Yeah, that was surprising for sure. And I thought, the car that Elio drove for many years, the 3-car Scott McLaughlin, I guess we'll go there now. We know he kind of got, whether he or is his team or whatever, then ultimately it's easy to look back and say that's a terrible decision. It cost him 11 spots, I think, in the starting lineup.
Yeah, 15th to 26th.
Right. So, but that being said, I think a lot of people were surprised after the rain on Saturday that the track was as slow as it was. I think most people thought the track would actually speed up because the winds died down and got cooler, quite a bit cooler. But the track was just slow. I mean, it's easy to look back now and say that's a terrible move, but
now I know Rossi withdrew his time and then went out again and was slower. Was that after the rain or before the rain?
That was before. After the rain, because Sage Karam was on track when the rain came, so he went back out first, and I think he improved by like 1 or 2 rows, and he stayed the same. I thought he improved. We'd have to look at those times. But then McLaughlin went out, lost 11 positions, and Newgarden was the last one. And I don't recall if he had taken the green flag or had just taken the green flag.
I don't think he had.
Either way, he got waved off by IndyCar, which was a huge stroke of luck for him and Team Penske in general. And so he'll now roll off middle of row 5.
But I don't know. So yeah, we kind of looked at the starting lineup. Let's look back, especially at Sunday. Even though it was great to see Dixon do this wonderful magic thing, but overall, what were your thoughts on the revamped the shootout? I can tell by the look in your face what it is.
I mean, I wasn't I don't think it's any secret that you and I are old curmudgeons, and we're not huge fans of the shootout in the first place. So the leap from a 1-round shootout to a 2-round shootout, I mean, I don't find it significantly more offensive. What I just found grueling was that 2-hour break between the practice and the qualify. I mean, that seemed like it was about 8 hours long. It just went on and on and on.
It did, and plus, I mean, that night we didn't get back home till about 11:30.
Yeah.
Or after 11, sometime after 11. But in the past, and recently qualifying has ended on Sunday at 3:00.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could have been home at a very decent hour had that happened, but no, we had to stick around till 6, and then it was. I remember it was 10 to 8 when we left the track.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it all comes back to NBC and what they say that IndyCar is going to do. But as I've thought about it, I would have preferred to see the Fast 12 practice, mid-morning, let's say, I don't know, 10 to 11, somewhere in that ballpark, 10 to 11:30, and then do the first round of 12 right away at noon. Let them run for an hour, and if it's this big deal, if we got to cool the engines, all right, fine. Then you do your last whatever practice or let them practice or something. Figure out something to do for an hour. I guess if you would have a Lapsboro shootout, that's when that could happen, and then run for the pole, like you said, from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4.
Well, a couple of things, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I would change a major thing in this. But before I get into it, when did cooling the engines become such a hot button? Because
I do not know.
It has not been long ago that a car would go out, make a run, and it wasn't good enough, and it was 15 minutes later they were out making another run.
Oh yeah, if that. Yeah. Put 4 new tires on, take a turn and a half of front wing out, pucker up a little bit more, and you're right back out.
Yeah. And plus, we mentioned this the other day. In 2014, that good finish between Elio and Ryan Hunter-Reay, they stopped the race with, I forget how many laps to go, but wasn't many, but they stopped the race to repair the safer barrier, and then they fired the engines back up and they took off.
Right.
I mean, they had a couple of pace laps with that, but didn't seem like cooling the engines was a big deal then. So why has it suddenly become this oh my God thing now?
I don't know. You're exactly right. It's been in the last 5 years maybe that this has been an issue, and I don't know. I honestly don't know why.
I know with thinking back to Belle Isle last year with Will Power, when he couldn't get his car started after they shut the engines off. I don't know. Maybe it's a Chevy thing. I don't know.
I think that was an electrical thing. I think that this is more of a getting the engines to operate at that exact peak performance.
Okay.
Not the ability to turn them back on.
So with that being said, my 2 cents worth is And what I don't like about the different rounds is that it forces the drivers to, at a bare minimum, a driver that's racing in the Fast Six, they have to qualify at least 3 different times. And to me, that's just increasing the chances of wadding up a good car, and I know people say, well, that's tough luck. You can do that on any run, but still, I think the more you do it, the chances are that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And what I think they should do is instead of knockout qualifying, where it goes from 12 to 6, I think it should be a shootout where you can make multiple attempts. You're given a block of time, make multiple attempts. If you want to, go out and qualify 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, whatever you've got time to, if you want to. But if you're Scott Dixon and you've got a real good time sitting up there on the top of the board, I think I'd be tempted to sit on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's what they did last year for the last row shootout. Problem is, they gave them like an hour and a half for 2 cars to do it, and maybe it was 3 cars. Was it Charlie Kimball and Simona and Power in that? Maybe there were only 2. I don't remember.
He may have been, because Power barely made the field last year.
Barely made the field. Yeah. Yes.
But I did, and I don't have a problem with it being 12 cars instead of 9 or whatever. But you know, I would say everybody has to make one run. But if you're satisfied with that time, then park it. If you want to take a chance and go back out and put it on the pole, then have at it. But that way is not forcing drivers to qualify multiple times.
Yes, but how long do you give them to do that then? Do you give them 3 hours for 12 cars? I think one of the digs last year was in that final row shootout that they gave them 90 minutes or 2 hours, and there was just a lot of sitting around with nobody running.
But it was just three cars or 2 cars or whatever it was, and what incentive is? I was 33rd, now I'm 31st. I mean, versus okay, I'm mired in the middle of the 3rd row, but I made a mistake on that last run. I think I got a shot at the pole. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah. Well, I had a pretty strong feeling that Alex Palou was probably not making a second run on Saturday this year. I think he learned his lesson last year.
So anyway, who's your pick? You think about it, and I'll go ahead and give you mine, because I gave my pick actually when John McClellan and I did One Take Only a couple of weeks ago. I gave my pick then, and I'm sticking with it. But at the time, I think everybody thought I was just being sentimental. I said Scott Dixon.
Yeah. Well, 2-3 weeks ago, everyone was still under the impression that Chevrolet was going to be the clear-cut favorite. I don't think that's the case now. I think at best, they're even. I'm not convinced that, based on what we saw in Monday's final practice, that Honda isn't a little bit better even in the race boost mode. Which,
while you're thinking about your pick, which brings up another topic. This is now the 3rd year in a row that Team Penske has been out to lunch at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah. And 3rd year in a row that Ganassi has been far and away the class of the field, with nothing to show for it yet.
True.
Other than a couple poles, that's about it.
And a 2nd place finish.
And a 2nd place finish.
The one that you just gladly pointed out to me a few moments ago.
Oh, well, then they got 2 2nd place finishes. Palou finished second last year.
Oh, that's right.
You know, maybe if you would start giving Alex Palou a little bit more respect and realizing that he's a legitimate contender now.
If you're going to make me say it, what I told you while we were up at Indianapolis this past weekend, I do acknowledge that he's a very good driver. I just don't really care for him. And I don't know why. I don't have to have a reason why. There's just something about him that just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
I don't like him.
Huh?
I just don't like him. I don't like him.
Who's that supposed to be?
That's you.
Okay.
Okay. I got my pick, and I have no reason. I don't even know where he's starting. I know it's not particularly great. That race has been won from there before. I will stay with the Chevy group. I'll go with Pato O'Ward as my pick. I don't know why. I don't know. I feel like he's been strong. He was strong last year.
I don't think that's a bad pick. He's a good driver. Unlike Palou, because what I do acknowledge about Palou is he does not seem to rattle easily. Palou does not.
No.
I think that's really the knock on Pato O'Ward. He does rattle easily. I think it's easy for something to get into his head.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
And if things go right for him and he's feeling it, I think the last 50 laps, yeah, he could really come on strong and win the thing. But if they have a bad pit stop or somebody wrongs him on the track, then I think he's going to stew about that, and it'll get into his head.
Well, all right. Let's look at this a little bit more broadly. Then I know we're getting long here. Let's just look at the Fast 12 then. Let's put these in groups of 3 here, where 1 is that guy is everyone's going to be picking that guy. 2 is like, yeah, he could probably win, just probably needs something to go his way. And 3 is, no, I really don't see it actually happening. All right. Would you say all 3 of the front row is Class 1? They can definitely win. No one's going to be surprised. You're going to be happy if you draw them out of the blind pool.
I don't see Rinus VeeKay winning.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And there's not necessarily a knock against Rinus VeeKay. I think if there is a chink in the armor at Ed Carpenter Racing, could be their crew. I think a pit stop will probably torpedo VeeKay's chances.
Okay. All right. Let's go to row 2 then. We have VeeKay's boss, Marcus Ericsson, and Tony Kanaan.
I don't see any of them winning it.
Okay. And Pato, Felix, and Grosjean.
Pato.
Pato's Group 1.
Yes. I thought that's what we were talking about.
It is.
Who's definitely going to win it? Or, I mean, who could definitely win this?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so you've got Dixon, Palou, and Pato in your Group 1. You're really going out on a limb there. You've really stuck your neck out.
That's what Group 1's about. Is what you think is a sure thing.
All right. Well, the only place I think I would disagree with you are the Ed Carpenter cars. I think either one of those.
Did we not talk about row 4?
We can. Oh, wait. Yeah, we can.
So you said you're talking about the Fast 12.
Yeah, you're right. Sato, Power, and Johnson. Can a Dale Coyne car win a 500?
Yes. Would I put Sato in Group 1? Probably not. Willpower, definitely. Jimmy Johnson, that one's interesting. I know everybody, you got, on one hand, you got the Jimmy haters that are just so incensed that he's even breathing and walking among us, much less that he's qualified for the 500, because they just think he has no reason to be there, which I find ridiculous. I like Jimmy Johnson, and
I do too.
And
By the way, you've got 2 minutes to wrap this up before my computer dies. So
okay, Jimmy Johnson's an interesting. He's the wild card. I think at the, I almost said a cliche. I think when it's all said and done, I think the lack of experience will bite Jimmy Johnson.
I think so too. I think Jimmy Johnson, I would put him a 50 to 75% chance of finishing in the second half of the top 10.
But
I think through 10 sort of drive racer in this race.
I would not be stunned if Sato won. So yes, a Dale Coyne can win. A Dale Coyne car can win.
I think of those three, I would say Power is my least likely. I just haven't seen it from the Penske's yet.
This is a new Will Power.
But it's the same Penske apparently.
Okay. All right. So you say your computer's, because it would have been good planning to actually plug the thing in or something.
It would have been, but nobody's paying attention at this point anyway. So everyone's checked out.
All right.
Maybe I'll get Jackson to watch this. I'll say hi to the family at home.
Okay.
Jackson, if you're watching.
We will wrap this up then. Final thoughts? None?
Let's go racing.
Okay, that's original. All right, so for Paul Dalby with Field of 33, I am George Phillips with oilpressure.com. Enjoy the race, and we may do this sometime after the race.